All right, guys, today we're going to take a look at the Galaxy lock. This is an Australian-made lock, and I got this from Matthew with Accurate Locksmithing and Security Engineering out of New Zealand. And you can see their phone number and all this stuff there. This has been quite a challenge. Matthew sent this end of May. I got it at the beginning of June of this year, so I've been messing with it for several months, trying to figure out mostly how to tension it. This is a faceplate, and if you take a close look at it, you can see these little slots, and there are levers down there that have to be pressed and rotated. Also on the center, there's this weird looking little thing here, and this is actually how you tension the lock. Notice that it's angled on both sides. You can pick it clockwise or counterclockwise, but it's angled, so any kind of tensioner you put on there, you got to really keep a lot of pressure. Otherwise, when you try to twist it, this angle will slough off your tensioner, and you'll have to start over. Believe me, I've done that hundreds of times. Total failure. When you take a look at the key, very cool looking key. You got these little wings hanging out of the shaft. You also have little cutouts because there are ball bearings and things you have to rotate around on the inside in there. And again, another safety and master keying feature. You notice a reduced diameter right there where my thumbnail is. We'll talk about that in just a minute. And when you take a look in there, this is how you tension it. You see that cutout? That's a perfect mirror image of that piece. Right, come on camera, work with me, not against me. So when we slide this in there, the key only goes in one way. Notice all the fins go in and then a little bit past the face. And then when you rotate it, the face keeps it from coming out, and it maintains that pressure and keeps it from sloughing off the tensioner. Really cool design, and that's why we have that little cutout right there. So you can imagine tensioning is a nightmare on this thing. So what have I done? Well, I made a tensioner. Now, it doesn't have the little wings to keep it from popping out, but there is a cutout there to match the one in there. It's the same diameter because I took the measurement off of the key. So it slides in and then rotates just like that and puts tension on that interior tensioner. Now here's the fun part. Because there are no wings holding my tensioner in there, I actually have to hold this in with when I put this in the vise, I've got to hold this in with my left hand. So it's quite awkward. And then I have to maintain the tension and work through those little slots. Now I only got two hands, so I'm going to have to set something down. And then I work through the slots with this. This is a 15 thousandths. Used to be a standard hook, but the tip broke off. And I'm going to be working this down inside of the little slots. I have opened it twice with my homemade tensioner. It does work, but because it's so awkward and my left hand is literally blocking everything and my right hand is working with a pick in the shadows, it'd be really difficult for you guys to see anything. The video came out and it was crap. So I've decided to do something a little different so you can see exactly what I'm doing. What I've done, I've taken the tailpiece off and I bent that 90 degrees and I drilled a hole in it. So when I put this in a vise, I'm actually going to take a screwdriver, a little jeweler screwdriver, and I'm going to tension it from the rear. Now, obviously you're not going to have access to that when it's in the door, but this is for basically educational purposes. I want you to be able to see exactly what I'm doing as I go in here and start trying to feel all of those little levers exactly where they are. It's going to pick very much like a dimple lock. Once I get it picked, then for the very first time I will gut it, and we can all see what's inside of here together. I think it'd be interesting for all of us. And that way if I screw up and pieces go flying everywhere, I didn't have to not make a video. Anyway, let me go ahead and clamp it up, and let's see if we can get this thing picked and then gutted. All right, guys, totally unrealistic. I get it. But I'm going to take this screwdriver and we're going to tension it from the rear. I'm going to go, I guess, clockwise. You know we're going the right way or on the right path because when I flex the actuator in the back, you can see that core kind of turning, and that's where we would normally use this handmade tool to put it in there and turn it and then kind of pick around it. But then you wouldn't be able to see anything. So let's try it this way. So when the key is put in, here's the key, it does push that core in a little bit before it will rotate. So I imagine that core has to be at some point depressed to line up with those ball bearings. So you'll see me pushing that in at least once, and if it pops out, I'll push it back. So let's make that one of the very first moves. He's not ready yet, so we got to get... I'm going to start at 12. I'm going to take this 15,000th. I'm going to start the 12 o'clock position and just push in and feel the little plungers. Now you can feel there's super springs in here. They're pretty easy to detect. When you hit them, if you get some resistance, like if it's like running into the face of the lock, you know he's the binder. And if he mashes in and out like a shock absorber, you know that... Okay, there was the first one. He's good. Okay, that is typically what you will see on this lock. It's not going to be a very distinct click. You're just going to very lightly touch it and slide it in, and suddenly the pin will go kind of mushy. And in that case, I think you saw we got a little bit of a false set. So let me go back and check him. He's still good. He's still good. He's springy. Okay, again, he's set. He's bound up. So let's try to pick him. Just push until you hit a mush. Push to the mush. Come on. It's really easy to overset, so I'm trying to go slow and use my finger as a guide there, and I think I might have just overset that one. Let's keep going though. All right, look for a binder. He's still springy. Okay, he's binding. Push to the mush. And there was a mush. And I felt a very slight click in the core, and he feels like he's set, no longer springy. See if he's still good. He is. Now you notice the core is now depressed. He's set. Okay, so let's come back to him in a minute. Let's check. Okay, he has popped back out. Come on. Nice click on him. So we're very close to getting this thing picked now, I think. All right, this guy, we're getting binding. He was springy a minute ago. Nice click. Check him, make sure he's good. And there we go. We got an open. Now, I'm not going to turn it all the way. Let me see. I'll try to do this so you can see what we got here. Let me move him. I'm not going to turn it a full turn because once I do that, it will again lock up, and then I'm going to have to pick it backwards. But you can see the actuator is now turned, and I'm going to hold it next to the microphone, hopefully, and you'll hear it lock back up. All right, so now the actuator is again straight across. So I did get it picked. It is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. It's even harder when you try to use this homemade tool because again, you know, it's clamped up. You're trying to push in with enough tension so that that angle doesn't slough off your tensioner. And at the same time, you've got to turn it, and it's pretty hard to maintain the right amount of tension. It's not so easy from the rear either because I had to bend this and put the tensioner or the screwdriver up there. It's kind of an asymmetrical turn. You got to be very gentle on this. Otherwise, because it's asymmetrical, it will bind it up and push that actuator all the way over to one side. So I got to say, though, this is a pretty tough pick. I only picked it one time, one notch. You'd have to pick it to each of those different positions, a complete rotation in order to get into this lock. So again, not an easy lock. You better bring a lunch. You're definitely going to need it. Anyway, enough flapping lips. Let's see what's inside of here. I have not yet opened it. So I'm just like you. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what's inside of here. It's probably all going to jump out into my eyes. I just know it, but that's the way it goes. Okay, this is as far as I've gotten when I took that actuator off to bend it. So I did notice we have little machined slots here, probably to accommodate all those sliders, but we're going to find out in just a minute. I really don't know what to expect here. I don't know. I didn't want to take it apart because I know that a million pieces are going to jump out. But if we turn it to the unlock position, okay, let's turn it there then. Doesn't seem to want to come out. All right, I'm figuring this out as we go, so be a little patient. I don't think it will just come out like that. Let me turn it to a half notch. Okay, that's not working so good either. I don't see any other screws on here, so I'm at a loss, guys. He acts like he's moving there. This piece may be press fit. I really don't know. Maybe we can pull it out with the key, since the key will not come out unless he's rotated vertically. Try to push him out the back. That's not working. Definitely, if you look at the front here, you can see that core kind of wiggling. I don't think he's... There must be a pin somewhere, but I'll be darned if I see it. Come out of there. Fellas, I'm at a loss here. Aside from force, he acts like he really wants to come out there. That core is very floppy, but I don't see any release mechanism on here. All right, force is the answer then. Probably not ideal, but man, these things need to come with instructions. All right, I am going to take it off camera. I'm going to clamp it up. I'm going to take a cylinder that's the right size, and I'm going to basically knock it, see if I can bump it loose out of there. I don't know what else to do here, guys. Got to be a secret. All right, that's what I'm going to do. All right, guys, I've jacked around with this. I cannot, I even looked at the magnifying glass. I can't find a pin or anything that would cause that to lock up in there, but I don't know what else to do. So what I'm going to do, and I know someone is going to point out some miraculous way after I do this, but too late. I'm going to take a saw and I'm going to cut it right down there with my Dremel. And on this side, I'm going to cut it right down there with the Dremel. The top will, or the bottom will then come off, and then we can lift that core out. I'm going to ruin the lock, but hey, in for a penny, in for a pound. All right, guys, not a lot upstairs. This looks like the entire top of this Bible is nothing but solid steel. So no pins, nothing fell out. I did cut it perfectly along that groove, so it came out kind of well. Didn't do too much damage to the lock itself. All right, how does it work? All right, there'll be the front. Let's take that key. So when we slide that dude in there, you can see the plungers all get pushed in by those little wings to the right depths, and then we're able to rotate. Notice on the top we have a little detent. So on the top, what I thought was spring tension was really that detent pushing up against a spring. So, okay, now our core wants to come out. This is new, and there are the little, at least according to the picture, you can see the little holes for ball bearings. I halfway expected those guys to kind of fall out of there. All right, let's take it out of the bottom part of the housing so we can look at the bottom of it. All right, there are all your little detents. It doesn't look like this. That looks like it'll come off, but I'm not going to mess with that. I already took the core out, so I'm not sure what will happen at this point when I put the key in, but let's give it a shot. May not no longer. Oh, there went a ball bearing. Anyway, it looks like the front part here separates from the actual locking mechanism. Let's pull that apart. Now we are really in deep crap. This thing's never going back together. Okay, there are the parts that I pushed down when I reached in to push these to the different depths. And now I understand why it felt so gritty. It looks like we have some teeth along the side here. They don't look like false gates. They just look like they're designed to provide a little bit of resistance. Okay, that's the top pin and the top spring. Fellas, I don't think anything else is going to fall out of this. If you take a look in there, I think you can see the little ball bearings. If we zoom in a little bit. But none of this stuff is going to come out. How about that ball bearing on top? Nope. He's captured in there. Must be press fitted. So this isn't as scary as I thought. Well, then again, maybe it is. Let's take this guy out and take a look. Since it isn't going back together, just get an idea, give a close-up of one of these. If I can get him out of there. How intricate is that? That took a lot of work to put that together. You'd have to have tiny hands. And that guy, of course, is spring-loaded as well. Wow. All right, now, why did it not come out? I took a quick look, and there is it looks like a split ring right there. I kind of cut through it on one side, then the bottom fell off. But that split ring fit into this groove, just like that. So I would imagine that when this lock is assembled, the split ring is compressed, the lock is inserted, and once it reaches that groove, that split ring spreads out. And no way to get it out of that I can see. There's no exterior hole or access. All right, let's take a look at this front part real quick. See if I can get the key out. Come on. This might be a permanent insertion, guys. There we go. All right, so we got this is the face that limits your ability to get inside of there to put tension on it, and that's all he does. He's the part with the split ring. So that looks like he's the last part that gets shoved in there to lock him in place. This just holds all the lock together and is a guide for all of these little fingers that go in there. Anyway, I don't know what else to tell you about this. It's a really simple mechanism, but some very intricate pieces inside of there. I really would not want to have to rekey this thing, and I'm certainly not even going to try to put it back together. Anyway, fellas, I don't know what else to tell you. This is just an absolute nightmare. So I appreciate your time and your patience. I really do, guys, and I really want to also thank, and I'm going to give them a shout out here, Accurate Locksmithing and Security Engineering. Thanks, guys, for sending the lock. There's a better one. And there's a phone number if you want to call them and get your own lock, because this one obviously is out of business. Thanks, guys. Stay safe. Stay legal.